Hey, what's up, guys? It is Ben 10,000 YGO, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Superhero, and today I have a personal friend here. This is my buddy Jackie. Say hi.
Hello.
All right, so Jackie is a former Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. She has now upgraded to well, it's her opinion. She has upgraded to Magic. I think it's a downgrade, but don't tell her that. Anyway, so basically the whole point of this video is I wanted to kind of talk to my audience and kind of get an outsider's opinion on someone who has played the game but doesn't play anymore, and kind of get your experience. So I guess one of the first big question is, what is the major thing that made you quit playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Up until the Pendulum Monsters came out, and
Mm-hmm.
my reasoning for quitting was I thought the Pendulum Monsters were going to break the game. I felt like they were absolutely overpowered, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And I was already kind of dabbling in Magic, so I just switched completely.
I can already hear fellow Yu-Gi-Tuber Triff, Pendulum best deck. Sorry, he does that. But so basically, it was that particular mechanic that was kind of off-putting to you.
It was very off-putting. It felt really strong, and the few games I did play where it was like, when it first came out, I lost horribly.
Or they just puked an army of monsters on the field. Like, here's my army.
Exactly, and I wasn't using them, and so I don't know. I guess I just kind of rage quit at the end of the day.
That's very much from my experience as somebody who stayed in the game. A lot of players that quit around that time have voiced or echoed exactly what you're talking about. They just don't like either like the ban list, or in your case, of this one particular mechanic. So that being said, now that Pendulum Monsters are not the only newer mechanic, does modern Yu-Gi-Oh? I mean, you and I have kind of talked a little bit about modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Do you
Hmm.
find it intimidating?
I don't necessarily find it intimidating anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they've kind of balanced out the master list and kind of tuned it to be a little more fair,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote. Part of me feels like Yu-Gi-Oh there will never be fair Yu-Gi-Oh.
No, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Just Konami's always gonna make something that's like, hey, we had to make something even more stupid than what you just dealt with.
Exactly, and their way of going about banning things, it's like they're like 10 years too late on banning stuff. Like they release it and then they kind of watch it break the format, and it's like part of them loves watching that train wreck, apparently, of it just ruining the format, and then they're like, maybe we messed up, and then they'll eventually ban it or ban part of whatever the combo is.
Right, or or they'll ban something. As of late, it seems like they kind of banned something a little too soon. Like we had what was it, like in Dragon Rulers, right before they hit them, they banned all the rulers because Dark Matter Dragon got here. So you had like a week to play with the rulers at full power, or full power for the new deck at
Hmm.
that time. And then now they're too late to let the Dragon Rulers come back because now they would be so slow.
Yeah, I remember the original Dragon Ruler format very vividly because it was very traumatic. It was a
Oh,
very traumatic format. If you weren't playing elemental dragons, you were just dead.
the only other two options were Spellbooks and Evil Swarm, and Evil
Yeah.
Swarm was just kind of the anti of those two decks. And then you had, like, Spellbooks that were kind of I don't know, they were like the other deck that just went off and did stupid things. So you really only had two decks, and then you had everybody else going, what the? Let's see here. How do I want to die by not being able to play Yu-Gi-Oh while they just make absolute mountains of pluses, or do I want to have to deal with these big sons of bitches? Hmm. Cursed or by death by fire? And then, of course, you had guys like me who got a hold of the Dragon Rulers because they were like, "Oh, look, a dragon deck that is good, that is decent," and I still scrubbed out.
You did scrub out.
I
But
am 10 times the player now than I ever was then.
yeah,
Oh,
I remember playing Brian in in matches. It was always very fun. He
shh,
was a
you
very
gave away
fun.
my secret identity. I'm just kidding. They know.
Oh,
They They know my real name. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
I
they'll
just
give
wanted
you heart
to.
attacks like that.
I just wanted to give you a panic attack.
Oh my god.
You gotta have a sense of humor in this line of work. Um,
Well, you got that covered.
I am the friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero. So, which is ironic because I don't even play heroes.
There were times when you did.
Yeah, and with my obsession with Absolute Zero, which is it's still not good. I still haven't found a way to make the thing work. Anyway, I am the brains. I'm not even gonna go into that. I'll go way off topic. So, what would it take for you to maybe even consider coming back into playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
the thing it would take would be for Magic to take a huge down spiral and just burn.
Damn. So basically, it would take an act of God at this point.
It would. I'm just not after my very long list of traumatic Yu-Gi-Oh related experiences that I, still talk to therapists about.
Damn. Damn.
It would take a lot to get me back into it. Also, just because I've become so invested in Magic.
Oh, it's kind of like what you and I were doing last time we were talking about, like when we were planning for this video a little bit. It's like how you were saying I should play Magic, but I'm too invested in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So, okay. So does another thing I think I would like. You mentioned traumatic experiences. Was it just the decks in particular, or maybe does the people play a role into that, like the players?
The player base definitely played a role into it, unfortunately.
Not me, of course, because I'm an angel. Now you might want to step away from the machine before lightning strikes. Okay,
through the computer.
Through the
computer. A lot of the player base tended not to take females super seriously, at least where I was playing. I know that's not the case everywhere. Like, I know that, female empowerment, especially in card games, is a super big thing. But unfortunately, where I was playing, a lot of the time, I felt like I wasn't taken 100% seriously, which was very irritating and upsetting.
I got my ass kicked enough times to learn that lesson the hard way, guys. Don't Jackie, don't let the cute face fool you. She will kick your ass, and she will not feel sorry about it. And she's gonna do it with cream puff monsters, and I'm playing over here like I'm got holy warriors and dragons, and she's just like, this monster is a chocolate owl. I'm like, I just got my ass kicked by candy. What the?
That combo was broken though. I'm sorry. With the stupid owl. I don't even remember his name.
Chocolate hoot or something. I don't remember. I don't know. It's the Madolce deck. That's all I remember.
I don't know. Well, the favorite was the whole Queen Tiramisu gimmick.
Just spin back two monsters. Can't even chain to it or nothing.
Yeah, and it doesn't destroy or target, so it's just like
it's that. And the truth is, the Madolce deck still is something you can't underestimate now.
Really?
Yeah.
I still have most of it. Maybe I'll try giving it a whirl again.
Yeah, and if you decide you want to get rid of it, I think some of the cards have gone up in value now. So.
Yeah, I still have a playset of Angelis. I know those are still worth something.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they're not worth anything to your Magic the Gathering people. I'm sure you'll look at that and you'll be like, I've got cards that are worth like $1,000. What's this $5 card? In Yu-Gi-Oh, that's like a pricey card.
Yeah, that's another point about Yu-Gi-Oh is some of the more positive things about Yu-Gi-Oh is it is not as expensive to get into, and I do actually really like that about Yu-Gi-Oh. That is definitely a good thing that they've been able to keep their secondhand price cards down. So it's better for the players, but unfortunately, it's worse if anybody's trying to collect. It's not as good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh does have its expensive cards, but it doesn't have like Magic the Gathering has cards that are like $1,000 and up, and I'm like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have hardly anything. It's like the only thing that's going to be like that in Yu-Gi-Oh is like world prize cards. Like you literally have to have one a prize card from Worlds to have anything close to that, and Magic the Gathering has cards that are worth even more than that. Like I'm pretty sure if y'all have a Worlds tournament, right? Like for Magic the Gathering.
Grand Prix. No, they have Worlds. Or we do have Worlds. I was just informed.
Okay,
but
so
We do have Worlds.
Okay, yeah. So you have an event where it's like worldwide Magic the Gathering. Everybody,
Yeah.
yeah, comes to this thing. I would be willing to bet that if y'all have prize cards that from that event, they'd be far worth way more than anything that's Yu-Gi-Oh related.
A lot of the prize cards, there are judges, and judges within Magic the Gathering get what are called judge promos.
Mm-hmm.
Judge promos are extremely expensive for the most part. Like, but then there's some that aren't worth anything. But there are prize cards from Magic that are worth like $600-$700.
Yeah, see, like that's exactly what I'm talking about. They're like, golly, this is ungodly amount. You probably have even cards you can get that are just like packs or whatever cards that you could get lucky, pull, and be like, oh look, here's $1,000.
Not anymore.
But
Usually
maybe that was back in the day type of thing.
Wizards of the Coast released a set that had old cards in it, and it's the old cards that are worth money.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there is a card from the new set that just released that's worth about $200.
Okay, so the prices dropped a little bit.
Yeah, the prices with Magic tend to start high, kind of median out, but when the set first drops, they'll be pretty high usually.
And I'm over here looking at Yu-Gi-Oh cards like, good God, I can't even afford that $5 card. Maybe that's just me being a cheap ass. I don't know. But, of course, my audience is quite aware because I'm like, all the decks that I showcase are like budget decks. So anything that the only way that they get to see anything like full power on this channel is if I'm playing on YGO Pro. Because I'm not going to spend $300 just to get a playset of Lightning Storm. Which, by the way, if you don't know what that is, that's Regeki and Heavy Storm in one card.
That seems a little broken.
Yeah, Konami's been doing this kick where they take like old cards and then they're like, you know what? Let's combine them into one. Like they got this one called 3 Tactical Talents, where it is Pot of Greed, Forceful Century, and like Change of Heart. It's all in one card.
You had been telling me about that. I think that's the whole rehashing of new ideas into new like Frankenstein cards. That's it's an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, that was just the next evolution. And they're like, so that makes me wonder if they're ever gonna like power. Yeah, we'll get Pot of Greed and all that stuff back because they're gonna power creep it. It's gonna be Pot of Draw half your deck.
Pot of Draw yourself out. That would be a way to lose.
Oh man. There's some bad jokes that I can't put on YouTube there. Anyway, so on the player side of things, like, have you ever experienced anything like? Because I know that some people quit in Yu-Gi-Oh because of the player base. Like, I know you mentioned having some experiences with them not taking you seriously, but outside of that, have you ever had anyone who's like a toxic player that was like a reason that like really kind of helped push you there, where you were like, I need to quit this game?
Yeah, there were definitely some toxic players, some people that I just didn't like to play.
Yeah. We'll
for several.
Out of it.
Yeah, we'll leave names out, but either for reasons like they were sore losers, got real salty.
That might have been me. I'm just kidding.
Or whenever they win, they like kind of like just rub it in your face, and it's just like, okay,
that might have also been me. I'm just kidding.
It's like, okay, dude.
I've been exposed. But I'm just kidding, guys. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so those were kind of like some of the toxic personalities, and obviously you can't say that everybody in the Yu-Gi-Oh community is toxic, because I met some people in the Yu-Gi-Oh community that I really liked. I mean, I met Brian, so that's awesome. There's some really good people.
I'm just kidding. There's some toxic really traits we were talking about. Sorry, you have to make jokes about it a little bit, because, like, especially because you were talking about basically the guys who are like toxic winners, basically. Like, people, I'm like, you realize you're playing a card game, right? You're playing with cardboard with artwork on it. Like, it's not like you're a poker player or, like a hardcore gambler or something and you just won like $1 million. So your swagger is not exactly necessary here.
I know, it's like you won like a couple packs of the same cards.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Like,
Like, yeah, literally, that was it. You won a few packs, and then some of these people would walk around like they just like, that's right, I'm the best ever. Sorry, that's literally how I feel about those people. They're just walking around
I,
like that.
I agree, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are kind of some of the things and the reasoning behind why I left.
Do you have any like? How do I word this correctly, without sounding too weird? Do you have any memories like that you associate with Yu-Gi-Oh? They're like that kind of like, like what I call like intrusive thoughts, but in my case, it's like a memory. So you think about it, and you're like, oh god, why did I think about that in that game? Oh, anything like that?
Uh, yeah. Usually when I'm thinking about certain mechanics, I have that thought, or when if I'm playing Magic and I'm like, wow, I remember playing Yu-Gi-Oh when you couldn't do stuff like this, and it's just. Ugh.
So, well, and obviously, like you mentioned, the pendulum mechanic. So I'm sure if you ever like came across an episode of like Yu-Gi-Oh Arc V or something, where he's like, "I pendulum summon," and you just see a bunch of monsters. I'm sure for you, it's just like, you have PTSD. You're like, "No, not again! Not the army again!"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and over in my case, I was right there with you though. Like I stuck it out because they eventually came out with cards that helped non-pendulum players keep up, but
Hmm.
oh my god, those pendulum decks were fucking wild. Like, I'm so glad. Like, even now, like pendulum decks are still nothing to scoff at. But
Hmm.
they've like now they have like negators and things like that. They have this one that you weren't around for because like you were just there when they were just like, okay, spam monsters, and then you relied on the extra deck to make your negations if you were going to make them at all.
Hmm.
Because some of them was just like, and then the other part of it, like when they were all at full power, excuse me, they could literally take like 20 minutes for a turn.
Well, that's something that happens in Magic, so that I can't even cringe at.
I get so mad. Like this is why I'm glad that the camera isn't always rolling when I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I've admitted this in other streams and stuff. But that's like the quickest thing to tick me off is when you're doing like moves that don't do anything. Like you're just sitting there moving cards for 20 minutes. And then your end board is like two negates. I'm like, you went through 50 fucking cards to get two negates, and you wasted 20 minutes of my time that I will never get back. That's the only thing that makes me mad. That's why there's like certain cards in the game that I'm like, you can never come back.
um, in Magic games, there we have different formats, and so we play a format called Commander, which sometimes can take a while, and but sometimes when you're playing Commander, you have sub games of Commander because one person in the 4-player pod, their turn takes like 20 or 40 minutes, and so you just play another game with somebody else while you wait for them to finish their turn.
Shit.
That is not an unheard of situation.
This is why I can't play Magic the Gathering, guys. Because I'd be the guy who, at this event, went fucking crazy and shot himself in the head in the middle of the tournament. I'll have a suicide note right there. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't go that far, but you get the point. I might wish for it. I might be like, please, if there's a god, hit me with a lightning bolt right now. That'd be me.
Luckily, in most tournament play,
That's not a
that's not a
huge.
huge that's not a huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Another thing that I wonder, because you kind of brought it up a little bit. I have another Yu-Gi-Oh friend who is she goes by the name Zombie Queen. So shout out to you if you're watching. She is one of the things that she has talked to me about multiple times is about how the Yu-Gi-Oh scene is kind of like a it's kind of a boys club, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Since you've kind of been one of the ladies who's played this game and quit and kind of had that similar experience, if there was something that what is something you think that we could all of us Yu-Gi-Oh players could do to maybe be more inviting for the ladies, to maybe invite them to play the game more?
Um, well, I mean, making sure to take female players seriously. Don't not disregard them just because they're female.
Mm.
And
Yeah, because
honestly, it
as
is.
if anything in your legs has anything to do with playing this, like seriously, like that's something that I don't understand. is like
Mm-hmm.
why those certain people feel that way, because I'm like, what does having a penis have to do with playing playing a card game? Like, it's not my dick that holds up the cards. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's a horrible joke, but that's literally like, uh, um, but you get to see that's where I'm like, I kind of laugh at those people who like feel like they're better just because they're a dude.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I think that that's always been kind of a problem in like any kind of gaming situation.
mm-hmm.
However, it's changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, there's a lot more female players
hmm
now than there were even when you were playing.
yeah.
So I even am friends with a few of them. Shocking.
Um, but yeah, so a lot, like I feel like a lot's changed. I feel like yeah, kind of going in the right direction.
Just we're just kind of like inching that way slowly.
Hmm
Okay.
Yeah, just with the whole being more inclusive and as Zombie Queen said,
Mm-hmm.
not making it like a boys' club, like making
Yeah.
it an all-inclusive kind of thing.
Do you think it would help if maybe one of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime protagonists was a chick?
I think that would help a lot, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that that's something that if was done in a in a tasteful manner, could
Yeah.
actually
Don't.
really improve.
Yeah, we're looking to make an anime, not a hentai. Rule 34 not apply here.
Then you
That's
just
right.
go.
We're on the internet. I'm making anime. I'm making internet jokes. I'm gonna do it. That's what. I mean, somebody was gonna comment it below anyway. I'm just saying. I'm friends with some people who are all across the board in the weird department, so somebody was gonna make it a joke, so I just beat them to it. But so would you say that the Magic the Gathering community is a little more inviting in that way when it comes to like having females play their game versus Yu-Gi-Oh players?
Yeah, I definitely would. I definitely feel like the Magic community has been much more welcoming in that way. Like I don't feel weird, playing at FNM. Like I feel like, I don't feel like anybody
Looks down on you for
looks
being
down on me. Yeah, thank you. I don't feel like anybody looks down on me. I feel like I'm an equal for them.
okay. So basically, it's just it comes down to this, Yu-Gi-Oh players: stop being assholes.
Uh,
Well, and you and I have some personal jokes in there, but we can't share that here on this channel. We're not gonna throw, we're not gonna throw the spice out on this video. So, I think we got a good chunk of stuff of why Yu-Gi-Oh players quit. I think, or at least with your experience. I think that another thing to bring up real quick before we head out is, I think there's multiple reasons why players quit. I think that like in Jackie's case here, we have feeling uninvited, uh, cards that are just maybe, or formats that are just a little too much. Which I think Konami is doing is they're starting to get better at it. They're starting to make it to where like if you have a favorite deck, maybe you only have to buy a few new cards to keep up. It may not always be meta, but at least it won't feel so overwhelming. Like, and I think that was one of the issues that you were kind of hinting at here is that like when Pendulums came out, like your favorite deck was Medolce's, and Pendulums felt leaps and bounds more powerful.
oh yeah, most definitely.
Right. So, and I know that Yu-Gi-Oh still has decks that are like super powerful, but I've noticed that they're starting to make that jump a lot shorter. So like even though the meta decks are still the meta decks, they're not so far above the and that's I think that's really going to be the answer here. I think is Yu-Gi-Oh player. Konami needs to like retrain Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit more until it gets to the point where like yes, the meta decks are the meta decks, but the difference between a tier 1 and a tier 2 is this, not this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
most definitely.
yeah, and we'll get there. I think it's just, and I feel like Magic the Gathering. Would you say that Magic the Gathering is kind of already kind of there? Like the best decks are not that much better than the tier 2 decks per se.
Yeah, I think personally, I feel like in Magic, I mean, you can compete with like if you have a deck you really like, you can probably still get a couple wins out of it, even going against some of
The better
the
or
the
stronger.
better tier deck, the stronger decks, because every deck has some form of a weakness.
And it's all about exploiting that one weakness.
Yep,
Finding the chink in the armor.
yep. This last format, the Theros Beyond Death format, the one of the best decks in the format was Bant Control. The issue with Bant Control is it's really slow, so you just get a deck that floods the board really fast, and it can't deal with it.
So maybe not so much about, it's not about the power in that case, it's about speed for that particular matchup.
Yes, most definitely.
I also have noticed Yu-Gi-Oh seems to be getting a lot faster now. So you have to, even if you're like I mentioned earlier about the doing a lot on the board. Well, now it feels like if you're not going to be doing a lot on the board, you have to make what you do put on the board matter a lot more. And I don't know. There's a lot of theory to that, which we won't go into this video, but this has been very enlightening. I think that we should talk more with former Yu-Gi-Oh players and kind of get more about it and see what it is, like why we keep losing people, Because I know that a lot of people leave Yu-Gi-Oh for, because of Yu-Gi-Oh. Not because I think it's one thing if you leave Yu-Gi-Oh for personal reasons versus, because of the game. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like, well, I can't really afford to go in any tournaments right now, so you put the game down until you're in a better financial situation. Or maybe if you're like a parent, like a new parent or something. I just think that that's a different, because that's a more fair reason for us to quit a game, in my mind. But in your case, it's just bad experiences.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm sorry that was your experience. Not everybody. I guess not everybody can kind of not everybody can just put up with a format and grit their teeth and just kind of wait. But I lost so many games even with the best deck. So at that point, for me, I guess it was no big deal to lose all the time. That's all right. I didn't claim to be good at the game. I just claimed to be entertaining at it. Anyway, guys, this has been talking about quitting Yu-Gi-Oh with my buddy Jackie here. If you guys want to maybe see her come on the channel again, make sure you drop me one of these. And maybe I'll pester her again. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want her to strike me down with thunder or anything.
Well, Brian, it's been really nice being on your channel. I appreciate you having me, and it's been real great talking to you.
Oh, and is there anything that you want to promote or anything before we head out?
No. I'm large fluff sack on Arena. That's about all I got.
All right.
I'm not doing any streaming or anything.
Yes,
but maybe I will.
I'll talk her into it. Don't worry, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's all on you. I'm just making jokes. All right.
Okay.
Well, I think this is it. So anyway, guys, make sure you like and subscribe, and me and Jackie will catch you in the next one. Peace.